So I would like to thank you all for joining this evening to learn how you can save money when you electrify your ride. In this case, with a federal tax credit or with other programs. My name is Annika Osborne. I'm with Cool the Earth. We're an environmental nonprofit with a mission to reduce carbon emissions and air pollution. While we are big fans of walking, biking, public transit, and carpooling, preferably in an EV or on an e-bike, with our Ride and Drive Clean collaboration, we work to advance the adoption of electric vehicles, EVs and e-bikes, in a fair and just marketplace. A few of our sources are telling us that with the shift in the federal government next year, the federal clean vehicle credit may be going away. We're here to let you know that the credit is available now as an upfront rebate and that there are some great deals on EVs at the moment. So now is a great time to go electric. I'd like to thank City of Palo Alto Utilities for sponsoring this webinar this evening. Here's our agenda for the webinar. We'll talk about the benefits of driving electric, how to save money with an EV, which is a deep dive on some incentives. We'll do an EV showcase featuring some of the most popular and good value EVs, new and pre-owned. We'll talk about how to EV, which is mostly charging at home, in apartments and apartments and condos and on the road. And maybe a little more information about who we are, what we do. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A. We'll be going over a lot of information this evening, but not to worry, I'll be sending a PDF of this presentation in our follow-up email. And if any questions come up, feel free to ask them in the chat. And we'll pause a few times during the presentation to answer questions as well. All right, let's dive in. So there are many benefits to driving electric. In California, our passenger vehicles are the single largest source of GHG emissions, representing 50 to 60% of our individual carbon footprint. So when we switch from a gas car to an EV and plug into clean energy like we can do here in the Bay Area, we are taking impactful climate action by reducing carbon emissions and air pollution, both which disproportionately impact our equity priority communities. And while driving electric is better for the planet, there's no sacrifice when you go electric. EV drivers save time, money, and actually enjoy an improved driving experience. So many EV drivers save time. With an EV, you can access the HOV lane as a single passenger with a special decal, and you'll never have to wait in line at a gas station again. I never knew how great that would be until I went all electric, and I haven't been to a gas station since. Many people can conveniently charge at home or at work, and there are thousands of public charging stations available. EVs offer low maintenance and efficiency. While there are 2,000 plus moving parts in gas cars, there are fewer than 20 in an EV. Maintenance for an EV is basically replacing windshield washer fluid and replacing your tires. So EV drivers save time by skipping the gas station and with fewer maintenance visits. And EVs are also a little more fun to drive. What I really like is the extra torque or power that you can have when you drive an EV. I can quickly accelerate when I'm getting on the freeway and easily maneuver between lanes. You just kind of give it a little power and glide into where you want to go. The quiet and smooth drive makes for great conversations when you're on a road trip. And for me, the high safety ratings were a really big factor, especially because I had teenagers learning how to drive at home when I first started going electric. But high safety ratings are important for everyone. Although early EV drivers paid a high premium for electric cars, today's EV drivers often save money. Here are some reasons why. It costs much less to fuel an electric car. Fueling a gas car can be 2 to 5 times more expensive than fueling an EV, depending upon where and when you charge it. Electricity prices tend to be more stable than gas prices, as we've seen over the past few years, although admittedly, electricity prices have gone up several times this year. For most people, if you get your bill from PG&E, they've gone up. So in addition, as I mentioned, maintenance costs are 40% lower for EVs. And there are lots of incentives available, which can bring down the cost of purchasing or leasing a new or used EV. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about these incentives. So there are three types of incentives that can help you save money when you buy certain EVs. There are additional grants and rebates available for both new and used cars for people who qualify through their income and residence. I'll just mention real quickly, Clean Cars for All is one that's available in California. If you trade in a 2007 or older car and your income qualifies, you can get up to $12,000 off of a new or used EV in the form of a grant, but you do have to apply for that in advance. So the federal tax credit, or the clean vehicle credit, was updated in 2024. The good news is that now it's available as a rebate at point of sale, and you don't require tax liability to access this rebate. There are some requirements for new EVs, but many qualify for either 3750 or 7500. And I'll show you the list of all of the ones that qualify in a few slides if you purchase them new. There's a pre-owned. Let's talk about the lease credit. So if you lease an EV, it's actually considered a commercial credit, tax credit. And so many times dealers will pass along that credit to the consumer in the form of a lease bonus or a lease credit. We've seen these between $7,500 and $10,500. The nice thing about leasing an EV and getting these credits that are available on a lot of EVs right now is that there are no requirements. The car doesn't have to be manufactured in the United States. There are no battery requirements. It could be basically, any EV that is offering these discounts. It's good to check with the dealer about these lease credits. There is a pre-owned EV rebate for $4,000 that's also available as an upfront at point of sale as an upfront rebate, no tax liability required. I'll talk a little bit more about these tax credits on the next slide. Depending upon where you live and who provides your electricity, there may be additional utility and CCA incentives. For example, if you get your bill from PG&E, they have a pre-owned EV rebate and even a rebate plus for up to $4,000 or $4,000 for those people who qualify based on their income. There are CCA and utility rebates as well. You'll want to check with your CCA or your municipal utility to see if they're offering some rebates. For example, I know MCE, Peninsula Clean Energy, Silicon Valley Clean Energy are all offering rebates at this point. And then from time to time, our organization, Ride and Drive Clean, offers EV discount campaigns. We just finished one in November, our fall discount campaign, where we work with a car concierge service who is able to negotiate additional exclusive discounts on certain EVs at certain times of the year. So we've helped about 100 people this year get EVs through this program. It's nice because some of these incentives stack. So if you qualify for one, you may qualify for several. So you can stack these incentives. Some people as I mentioned, in the Bay Area can save up to $22,000 or $23,000 if they stack all of their rebates. A lot of these are based on income. This is a great website, Electric for All, to explore a variety of different incentives to see which ones you qualify for. So before I dive into the federal tax credit or the clean vehicle credit that is available this year, and we're not sure if it's going to be available next year, I do want to emphasize that I'm not a tax expert. So we recommend that you verify with a tax professional for guidance if you're unsure of whether or not you qualify for this. As I mentioned, the clean vehicle credit for $3,750 or $7,500 is now available as an instant rebate, so it can be applied to your down payment at point of sale. Because there are more requirements this year, fewer EVs qualify, and the income limits are still in place. You do have to purchase your EV from a qualifying dealer and make sure you receive a copy of the successfully submitted IRS seller report before you leave the dealership, as you will have to submit that when you file your taxes next year. This goes for the pre-owned rebate as well. You'll need that seller's report. So there's, in order to qualify, you have to purchase or finance a new EV. The final assembly has to be in North America. Here are the vehicle price limits and income limits. The income limit is on modified adjusted gross income, the year it was delivered, or the prior year. There are these critical mineral and battery components. This is why some EVs qualify for $3,750, while others kind of fulfill both of these requirements and qualify for $7,500. Here's the website. I've listed it down below that can help find out, you can kind of see which EVs are qualified. I also have it listed here. Currently, these are the EVs that are qualified. I just actually looked, and it looks like the Cadillac Optiq is also qualifying for the $7,500 credit. But I'll just leave this up for a few moments here. Okay. I'm just going to touch a little bit on the clean vehicle credit for pre-owned EVs. The credit amount is 30% of the sales price up to $4,000. It is a point of sale rebate at the dealership. You have to buy this at a dealership that's signed up with the IRS. This is not something that you can buy on Craigslist. You can't use this if you buy it on Craigslist or through a neighbor or something like that. Although I do have a workaround. If you're in that situation, we can talk about that at the end of the webinar. There are more stringent income caps for the pre-owned rebate. And the car price cap is $25,000. It has to be at least 2 years old, meaning if you buy it this year, it has to be 2022 or older. Okay. And then just because I know a lot of people who come to these webinars do qualify for the PG&E rebate, which is stackable, $1,000 for anyone in the PG&E service area. So as long as you receive a bill from PG&E, you qualify. Based on your income, you may qualify for $4,000. You do apply for this one within 180 days of taking delivery. So this is one where you'll get a check in the mail from PG&E. How nice. Maybe 4 to 6 weeks after you apply for this rebate. Couple of more requirements here. Okay. Just checking to see if there are any questions at all in the chat. I've seen a couple of people share which EVs they're interested in. I see looking to lease an Ioniq 6 or EV6, interested in a Toyota BZ4X. Great. Feel free to drop in the chat what car you're interested in or which EV you already drive. So we're going to talk about EVs now. With so many EVs and plug-in hybrids available, there is an EV for every lifestyle and budget. Most fully electric EVs offer 200 to 300 miles of range, and some go even farther on one charge. That means you can go from San Francisco to Tahoe with just a 15-minute charging break. And for some of these EVs, you don't even have to stop to charge at all. And of course, when you're coming home from Tahoe, you may not have to stop and charge at all because EVs have something called regenerative braking. So when you're going downhill, when you're not accelerating, you're actually charging your battery. So that's kind of nice. Before moving, so we're going to move on and talk about the vehicles. So I'm going to do a vehicle showcase right now. Some of the popular EVs that have been around for a while, some great value EVs, and a couple that are still might be coming out later this year. I know we're late in the year, but there may be a couple more that we see. So I do want to state that the prices listed are the base price for the MSRP base price. I've starred the ones that qualify for the federal clean vehicle credit. And I will begin. So Chevy is offering some great value cars. Keep in mind that the average cost of a new car in 2024 is $48,000. So these are all at or below that price, and that's before incentives. And all of these qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. So the Chevy Bolt EV and EUV are really the best deals around. They're super fun and peppy to drive. GM took a break from the Chevy Bolt in 2024, so they did not make a 2024 year model, but I am reading that they will make a 2025 year model. That will be revamped with a new battery system, which is great because Chevy Bolt is one of the cars that's a little bit slower to charge with fast charging. So if you're on a road trip with a Chevy Bolt, rather than it taking 20 minutes to charge, it might take 40 minutes or so. But when they upgrade the battery, that won't be the case. It'll be a faster charge. Chevy is mixing it up with a few exciting new models. The Chevy Equinox is a compact SUV that combines SUV capabilities, modern technology, and everyday features. So it won't be super unfamiliar if you sit down in a Chevy Equinox. It'll feel similar to driving a gas car. The Chevy Blazer EV is the first mass market SUV built on Chevy's new Ultium EV toolkit. It has really good real world range. I've read that the Equinox does as well. An interface that will help drivers find charging stations and a familiar layout. So in general, the Equinox EV is geared toward those seeking a cost-effective, efficient, and practical electric SUV, while the Blazer EV is aimed at those looking at a more stylish, spacious, and performance-oriented EV. These next three cars came out in 2021, so they've been around for a while, which is nice. The ID4 is the first from the Volkswagen ID brand. There are more coming, even this year. People love the Mustang Mach-E, and the new Audi Q4 e-tron comes in at a great price, $20,000 less than the regular Audi e-tron. So these models are very competitive as well. And then there's Tesla. We like to focus on the technology. The Model 3 and Y are the most affordable models, and several trims qualify for the federal tax credit. These are beautiful, safe cars, and the Model Y has an optional third row of seats and seats 7 passengers, but I think 2 small passengers in the very back. A lot of people buy Teslas because of the fast, easy, and reliable charging, especially if you can't charge at home. There are many, many supercharging stations all around, and they're mostly reliable. They have like a 99.5% reliability rate. So often when you arrive at the supercharging stations, the charging stations work. They're very easy to use. You just back in and plug in, and very fast. Typically, it's about 20 minutes to go from 20 to 80% of battery charge. The cars on this slide all have a bidirectional charge battery. So you can power a refrigerator or other home appliances with this car battery for a week or so if there's a power outage. There's no need for a gas generator. The Kias and the Hyundais are built on the same platform, which also offer fast charging. They say it's 17 minutes to go from 20 to 80% of a charge in these cars. Very popular cars. They don't qualify for the federal tax credit if you purchase them, but many dealerships have been passing on the tax credit, the commercial credit for leasing. So I've seen some great lease pricing on all of these cars. So if you're looking for an EV with 3 rows of seats, here are a couple of models. And in 2026, Rivian is due to release their R2S and R2T, which will be smaller and significantly less expensive, more in the $40,000 to $60,000 range. These trucks are already here and more are on their way, like the Chevy Silverado EV and the Ram EV truck. These trucks are basically generators at home and batteries on wheels on the road. The F-150, the regular F-150, is the most popular car in the United States. So we know this Lightning model is going to be very, very popular, a game changer. Rivian is marketing as an adventure company and installing chargers in far-reaching places like national parks. In 2026, as I mentioned, they'll have both a smaller truck and SUV model. Over 1 million people have ordered the Cybertruck, and we've all been seeing these on the road for sure. So more and more people are getting these cars. And if you cannot find an all-electric car that works for you, there are many plug-in hybrids or PHEVs out there. If you plug a PHEV in every day, you may be able to cover your daily driving on all electric, and you can save the gas tank for road trips. The Prius Prime just upped their range. The Kia Niro, sorry, I don't have that one on here anymore. The Kia Niro PHEV, I don't think I have it. Maybe it's on my next slide. It's good for shorter commutes. The Volvo Recharge series have like a good amount of range, as does the Ford Escape. If you're looking for a larger plug-in hybrid, here are some popular models. We love that Toyota RAV4 Prime with an electric range of 42 miles. That's one of the higher ones out there. So these are some EVs that will be coming out a little later this year or maybe early next year, I believe. The 2025 Mini Cooper EV comes with significantly more range than the current model. The Fiat 500e was popular for many years. It's now making a comeback with more range. And the Volvo EX30 is due to come out actually later this year. It may actually be available at some dealers. It's small in size and big on safety, according to Volvo. So if finding a parking spot is often on your mind, one of these smaller EVs should be on your radar. The Chevy Bolt is another nice compact one, the Nissan Leaf as well. Not everybody, I know the demand for cars in the United States, a lot of people want SUVs or bigger cars, but there are some great easy parking EVs as well. The Volkswagen ID brand has promised to come out with a new EV every year for the next several years. We're looking at the Volkswagen ID.7 should be coming out soon. It's aligned with the Passat family. It's a sedan. And my personal favorite, the Volkswagen ID Buzz microbus. Again, I'm hearing it's supposed to be coming out this year. What a lovely Christmas gift that would be. And they come in really bright, fun colors. The next few slides will give you an idea of some of the most popular pre-owned EVs and the pricing on pre-owned EVs. There are many, so Chevy Bolt did not manufacture a 2024 model, but there are many available on the used market. These are great commuter cars. They have a great range, over 200, and the price can't be beat. Especially if you qualify for some of these rebates, it really knocks down that price. The Tesla Model Y has come down to, they have some under the $25,000 mark, which is great. Nissan Leafs are in a similar price range as the Chevy Bolt. Some more pricing. It used to be that plug-in hybrids were less expensive than electric cars, but because the battery prices on EVs have come down significantly, now a lot of the fully electric cars are more affordable. last one here. If you're not in the market for an EV, an e-bike might be right for you. So instead of hopping in a gas car, you can try commuting or running errands with an e-bike. E-bikes are fast and fun, and there are so many different types and models to choose from. I wasn't joking when I said that some people carpool on their e-bikes. I've seen entire families on e-bikes. We live close to an elementary school, and they come zooming past. So many different great uses for an e-bike, absolutely. So the next part of our webinar is going to be about how to EV, which is mostly about charging with clean, affordable energy. So people get worried about charging, but for most people, 80 to 90% of charging is done at home or at work. It's easy. At home, you can just plug in the charger that comes with most EVs into a standard 120 volt outlet. There are no install costs besides perhaps an extension cord, and it gives you 25 to 40 miles of range in 8 hours. In the Bay Area, on average, people drive 25 miles a day, so this simple solution called Level 1 charging works out great for most people. If you drive more than 40 miles a day, a good option is to see if you can charge at work. If not, you may want to purchase a home charging station for Level 2 charging. You'll get about 25 miles in an hour, so you can easily get a full charge overnight. But I want to point out that charging an EV is different from filling up a gas car, especially if you have a reliable source of electricity that you can access daily. So really what we're just doing, if you do have that situation, is you're really just topping off what you used each day. So I don't drive that much. I work from home. So I might drive, 10 to 20 miles most days and come home, I plug it in, and I'm just kind of topping off what I use that day. Most manufacturers recommend that you keep your charge, you don't go beyond 80% of a charge on a day-to-day basis to preserve the battery. And so I'm really just going between like 65 and 80% of my battery charge on a day-to-day basis. The first step for home charging is to check in with an electrician. With the 120 volts, I don't think, it's a standard outlet. You just plug in straight into that outlet, or you can use an extension cord. That's what we've done for years. And the only thing you might want to check in with the electrician on is just to see that you're not overloading your circuit, that you don't have multiple outlets going to the same circuit. So that's something to consider. Sometimes an electrician can just look at your electric panel. I used to just send them a picture of my electric panel. They're like, you're fine charging. And with Level 2, it's a matter of installing a 240 volt outlet close to where you're charging, 220 to 240 volt outlet close to where you're going to be parking your car. And then you'll buy a charging station. You could buy one from a big box store, from Amazon. Your electrician might be able to advise you on one that would work well for you. I talk more about this in my EV 102 webinar. I have one coming up on December 30th. So charging away from home is easy too. There are many Level 2 public charging stations that are available. Like when you're around town running errands, you can, fill your car with some juice. When I go to the farmer's market, I plug in for the hour that I'm at farmer's market, and I get about 25 miles in an hour. It costs me $1. That's really great. But when you're on a road trip, you will want to fast charge with a Level 3 charger, which is the fastest charging available. There are currently 3 standards for fast charging. The one on the left there under fast charge is it's called CHAdeMO, and it's only for Nissan Leafs and some older Japanese cars. The one on the right is for Tesla. I'll talk a little bit more about this one in a moment. The one in the middle is CCS, which all other cars have. So the one on the right, the CCS, so because the Tesla supercharging network is incredibly reliable compared to the other charging networks, which come in at about 75% reliability versus Tesla's 99.5 reliability, every EV manufacturer is transitioning to this standard on the right. It's now become the North American Charging Standard, or NACS, we're calling it. That means that either with an adapter or with the port that goes along with this charging, everybody will be able to charge at the Tesla supercharging stations, which is really good news because we want to get many, many different kinds of EVs out there on the road. The way this is rolling out is that some manufacturers everybody has committed to doing this. 3 manufacturers have already done this. So GM, Ford, and Rivian have provided adapters for their customers, for their cars. I think actually some of them have been free. I think Ford and Rivian were free. We're offering free adapters. And with Chevys, you can get, or with GM, you may have to pay to get the adapter. And you just use that adapter, and then you can just go right to the Tesla supercharging stations and power up. They've promised that in 2025, the 2025 year models, they'll have that NACS port built in, so you won't need an adapter. The only manufacturer that I've seen made an announcement to this point is Hyundai. So I've heard that the Hyundai Ioniq 2025 model will have this port built in. But if you get a different model of the Ioniq 5, a 2024 model, you can still, you will be able to use an adapter. So this is really great news and will level the public charging situation. If you're going to use your car, for commuting and around the town and not take it on so many road trips, then it really doesn't matter, because you're just going to be charging it at home if that's available to you. So once you start driving electric, it's ideal to charge your EV from rooftop solar. There's a federal tax credit available this year. Again, I don't know how that's going to work out next year or if there are going to be changes to this. It's available now for 30% of the cost of installing solar and a battery. It's a great feeling to charge your car from the electricity that you generate from your own roof. If you're not ready for solar, City of Palo Alto Utilities electricity is already carbon neutral, and CPAU has some of the most affordable electricity around. To make the most of renewables, they recommend that you charge every CCA and utility. They recommend that you charge your EV during peak solar hours, and if that's not available, after midnight. CPAU will be moving to a time of use rate plan next year. Other utilities and CCAs have clean options as well. Some offer special reduced EV or time of use rates, so you can pay less for electricity during certain times of the day. So if you receive your bill from PG&E, and you're getting your electricity from the CCA, your alternative electricity provider, the best time to charge is between midnight and 3 p.m. So most of the time, you're going to get a really great rate on electricity, about half of the cost. And then it gets quite expensive between 4 to 9 p.m. and a little bit less between 3 and 4 and 9 and midnight. So as I said, most utilities recommend that you charge your car during the day if that's available to you, and if not, charge it after midnight sometime. We have so much solar energy on our grid in California that we want to use up all of that electricity in the day when the sun is shining and it's still live. If we don't put it into our cars or use it or put it into another form of a battery, when the sun goes down, it's gone. So that's why we've kind of shifted to, we used to say charge at night, but if it's available to you, charge during the day. Taking a road trip is getting simpler all the time. Thousands of public charging sites provide fast charging, and using apps like PlugShare, it's easy to plan a trip and find chargers along the way. You can map out your trip on your computer the night before, and then use your app or card to charge up when you're on the road trip and to find charging stations as well. With public charging, we recommend that you practice a few times before heading out on your road trip. We also recommend that you sign up for all of these charging networks: Electrify America, EVgo, Tesla, and ChargePoint. These are the main charging networks that you'll see in the Bay Area. So we want you to be signed up and to have a credit card assigned to it, just so you're ready to go if you're in a charging emergency situation. When you buy some new cars, you might get a special package that offers 2 years of free charging at Electrify America or at EVgo or ChargePoint or something. So if that's the case, definitely sign up for that one anyway. But if you're heading out on a road trip, it's just wise to have all of these options available for you. Yeah, and when taking a road trip, many hotels offer level 2 charging. So while you're parked there, you can charge. Sometimes they're free, other times you have to pay for that. And whenever I go on a road trip, if I'm staying in an Airbnb or a Vrbo, I'll always ask the property manager in advance, can I charge while I'm there? I drive electric, and every time,
Smart.
very happy to do that. So some of them have even provided an extension cord for me. So I'd like to thank you all for attending this program today, wherever you are in your journey to an EV. I hope it was helpful. And I'd like to thank City of Palo Alto Utilities for sponsoring the webinar. If you can make the switch to driving electric now, we're here to help. The sooner the better. We believe the best deals are going to be available this month, and we don't really know what it's going to look like next year. So we are big fans of going electric as soon as you can. If you're not ready now, can we have your support, though, by pledging to make your next car electric? Our big ask really is, please don't buy a new gas car. It will be on this earth emitting carbon and air pollution for 12 to 15 years. We have to stop doing that as quickly as possible. Yeah, so Lisa, I actually would like to let people know that we work really closely with Cartelligent. They're a car concierge service. They can help you get an electric vehicle. What's great about them, I'm going to put them in the chat also. We do our discount campaigns with them. We don't have a discount campaign currently, but with them, it ended in November, but they can still get you a great deal, and it's a no hassle experience. So because they work with multiple dealers, they're often able to get you better pricing. Like 95% of the time, they can get you better pricing on an EV, and it's a no hassle proposition. I do these webinars weekly, and so many times people are like, "Oh my God, I've gone into so many dealerships, and they're trying to trick me, or the money, it's unclear." So really, this is a trusted source of getting an EV. Cartelligent has been around for 20 years. They get excellent reviews, and we hear from our people who come to our webinars all the time. Thank you for introducing us to Cartelligent. It was the easiest car buying experience I've ever had. Some people wish to go around to dealerships and try to get a better deal. Great, go for it. And see what Cartelligent can get you to. Literally 95% of the time, it's going to be better. If you mention Ride and Drive Clean, they will, they will take $100 off their service fee. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I'll end the poll because most people have answered already. Now I'm going back to questions here. Mach-E is not on the list. No, the Mach-E is not available for the federal tax credit for purchase. There may be a lease deal available, though. So you can check if you're interested in leasing. And I don't know, I'm not an expert on leasing by any means. I've leased a car once, but Cartelligent has been on these webinars with me, and they say that a lot of times people will lease a car because there are really great lease deals available, and then they can buy out their lease. But you'll have to kind of figure out if that works for your financial situation, and if that will save you money or what the best deal is for you. A CCA is a community choice aggregate. I know that sounds terrible. They're an alternative to PG&E. So about 10 years ago, a law was passed that different communities can offer alternative electricity. So our CCAs, so PG&E owns our lines, our electricity lines, and they provide gas. But you can sign up with your local CCA to get electricity through them. So I'll give you an example. In where I live in Marin County, in Contra Costa County, in Solano and Napa counties, we have something called MCE Clean Energy. So their base level electricity has 60% renewables, and you can opt up to get 100% renewables. It costs like $5 more a month. All the money that you give to MCE, they're investing in building solar farms and wind turbines. We're trying to get as much renewable clean energy on our grid as possible. So if you live on the peninsula, it's Peninsula Clean Energy. There's Silicon Valley Clean Energy, Sonoma Clean Energy, Ava, if you live out in the East Bay. So that's the CCA. And you can, it was on my slide, you can ask me a specific question, like I'll tell you which CCA could provide your electricity. You may all be getting your electricity already from the CCA. Thank you, Abhinash, for that. Do EV dealers have slack to bargain, or are you pretty much limited to the price they offer? There's always, yeah, you can always negotiate. I mean, it's interesting. We think we're good negotiators. That's why I recommend if you're getting a new EV to definitely check in with Cartelligent. They negotiate these deals all day long, every day. I will tell you that I have two friends who, well, one friend got a Volkswagen ID4 in January, and she was so excited to tell me, like, oh my God, I'm going to tell you this great deal that I got. She told me her price, and it's like $150 more a month than through Cartelligent. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a good price. Yeah, I'm glad you're going electric. My other friend went to a dealer, called me, and she was like, I'm getting the best price. It's President's Day weekend. They are giving me a special price, and I have to buy it today. Otherwise, I'm going to lose this great price. You will never lose that great price. They will always, I mean, I shouldn't say this. For the most part, they will give you that same price the next day, or maybe even a better price. So I would say negotiate hard, or go through Cartelligent, where you're always going to get great pricing because they're able to do that negotiating for you. Yeah. I mean, I'll say like certain cars, like if you get a Tesla, or I know Tesla for sure, there's no negotiating. You purchase the car from their website or from their showroom, there's no negotiating. That's the set price. It's just how it is. But with the other, with most of the others, there's definitely room for negotiation. Yeah. I mean, there are lots of tactics. My friend who got a not so great deal, she was like, oh yeah, they were complimenting my hair. And, I was really good friends. I got really close with the dealer. That is, sort of what can happen. Is there a new Cartelligent list of EVs for December? They work with all EVs. So we're not offering a discount campaign for the month of December, but they can still get you great pricing on EVs. So we are hoping to offer an EV discount campaign with Cartelligent in January, but we're not sure. Rebate and tax credit. What's the difference? Yes. So it's interesting. It's a tax credit. They had a tax credit for 10 years. It was available only when you file your taxes. And starting in 2024, they made that tax credit available as a rebate as an upfront rebate. So that's why the tax credit is now considered a rebate, because you can get that, you can get it upfront. You can use that as your down payment if it's one of those cars that's qualifying. Let's see. Yeah, we don't know so the federal tax credit, we expect to go away we're hearing it may go away on January 20th. Definitely, we're hearing more likely the lease one can easily go away. And we know already that in 2025, there are going to be more requirements for the one that you purchase. I showed you the list of cars that qualify. There's this, let me share my screen real quickly. There's this There's Cartelligent. This is the fuel. This is the website where you go to find out which cars qualify. So through December 31, we know that you can get an upfront rebate if your income qualifies for these vehicles. This list is going to be reduced on January 1st, according to what we know, because the battery requirements, see, there are a bunch of requirements here. Here is all the information. What we know is the battery requirements will become more stringent in 2025. I don't know if it mentions, yeah, critical mineral and battery component requirements will become more stringent in 2025. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, the surefire thing is to get an EV now. I'll stop sharing my screen. We know that it's available through the end of this year if you purchase an EV. Okay. Is there such a thing as an EV with a very simple, old-fashioned dashboard? Yes. If you dislike the high tech, don't get a Tesla, because the Tesla just has that tablet off to the side. We recommend the Chevy Equinox is an EV that looks very similar to your traditional EV. The Kia Niros, the Hyundais, very similar. Some of the cars that are made, some of the manufacturers that are strictly electric, like Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, they're going to have the most high-tech, far-reaching, or modern interfaces. But most other EVs have just regular interfaces. And that's why it's really important. I would recommend go test drive some EVs. Go see what, go sit in the EV, see if you feel comfortable, if you like the dashboard. Personally, I love the Tesla dashboard because when I look in front, there's nothing. There's a little wood paneling and that's it. So it's very Zen for me. So I like that. I don't use the tablet while I'm driving. I use voice command. So I try to just not use anything, any gadgets or anything while I'm driving. I just kind of voice command it. Takes a while to get used to the voice command, like enable air conditioner or disable climate, put on windshield wipers, increase the speed of the windshield wipers, things like this. No, yes, simple EVs are out there, absolutely, on the new and used market. Yeah, just a matter of going. I recommend that you go to one of those auto rows where you could look at 3 or 4 EVs on the same day. Go sit inside. If you're ready to go in and start negotiating with the dealer, fine. I would recommend test driving and then talk to Cartelligent. Yeah, just the minute you go inside, there's going to be negotiation and they're going to start selling you on this. So yeah, let's see. Is there such a thing as an EV with a simple old-fashioned? Yes. Okay, great. I am into with this. Not sure, but how about a step forward for our future? Once in a lifetime chance to get a paint. Yes, I love that. Thank you, Abinash. Are you still here? Absolutely. This is what we need to do. We're trying to, there may be some setbacks in our climate, unfortunately, in the next year. But it is, so if we can do what we can do to go electric and, try to electrify our homes and our cars and to reduce our emissions, use public transit more, whatever we can do as individuals it's time to step up to do that now. Except the extracting minerals. Yeah, absolutely. Josh, extracting rare earth minerals is not great. And that's why the federal tax credit has some stringent requirements. They don't want to be extracting minerals in countries that are, what should I say? Where the residents themselves have very low carbon footprints. Some countries in Africa, where they are not using a lot of electricity themselves, they're mining cobalt so that people in Western countries can drive EVs. 100% disagree with that. We're moving toward more local sourcing of rare earth minerals. We're looking at getting a lithium valley by the Salton Sea here in California. which as it should be, if we're using it for our cars, if we're relying on so much energy, then, we should use it from our own local sources. But really, there's so much. Two things I want to say about that, Josh. There's a lot of innovation with batteries. They're very efficient. They're way more efficient than gas cars. And think about the environmental toll of drilling, processing, transporting, and combusting fossil fuels. Like the environmental impact of EVs from that perspective pale in comparison to the fossil fuel industry. Yeah, Cartelligent cannot sell Teslas. I don't think they can do Lucids either. I think those are all just through their, yeah. Yeah, if you want to get a Tesla, I recommend that you go to one of the showrooms and talk to them, or you can just buy it online. You really just go to Tesla and, also I'll also put this other website. If you're interested in buying a pre-owned rebate EV, this is who we recommend. We partner with Emotion Autos. They have a little bit of a different model. We just had a campaign going with Emotion Autos. I just dropped their link in the chat. They can process. That's how I got my Tesla Model Y, through Emotion Autos. So they can get you any car. So they're very interesting. They will consult with you on what your driving needs are and help you find the right car for your lifestyle. Then you will kind of decide on what color you want, how many miles you want, what repair the body you want it to be in. So for example, for me, when I got my car, I said, I want it to be a 4.5 out of 5 or above. I don't want a used car with lots of dents and dings and bangs. So you give them a deposit and I told them a price limit. I don't want to pay any more than this price. So they go to auction and find that exact car for you. And they'll email you like, I found these 3 cars today. Do you want one of these 3 cars? And as long as they can find you a car that fulfills your requirements, you move forward with that deposit. Did I say you put down a $500 deposit? As long as if they can find you a car with the requirements that you've given them, then, that deposit will go toward your car. But if they can't find the exact car that you want, they will refund you the $500 immediately. These are 2 guys who have PhDs from Stanford. They've been working in the energy industry their whole lives. They're retired, and this is what they're doing in their retirement, helping more people drive electric. They're great guys. They're entertaining, and they will get you a great deal on an EV, a pre-owned EV. They also are signed up to process all of the rebates that are available for pre-owned EVs. All right, I don't see any more questions. Feel free to raise your hand. I'm going to stick around for about 30 seconds more. As long as I see more questions coming in, I'll stick around. Otherwise, I'm going to end the webinar. Again, I want to thank you all for coming tonight to this webinar. I hope it was helpful. I'll be sending out a follow-up email tomorrow with some links. Feel free to stay in touch. Let us know how your journey to an EV goes.